Hey folks, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Freedom Grooming. At Freedom Grooming, they've got the new Flex Series electric shaver, which is uniquely designed to flex and contour to the curve of your head or face for a smoother, faster, and safer shave without the risk of nicks, cuts, irritation, or ingrown hairs. The grooming products will work anywhere on the body, but the strongest demographic is with the bald community. That's why they're talking through a bald man's voice like mine. I shave my head every week. And I use the Freedom Grooming Flex Series electric shaver on my head, and I actually agree with their marketing materials. It does follow the curvature of my head really well. I've been using other straight traditional buzzers in the past, but this thing really gets a very, very close shave on my dome piece. I'm really actually surprised at how uniform it was able to get, because my head is not exactly perfectly round, but it works really, really awesome. You can get the smoothest shave of your life, especially if you're shaving your semi-bald head. The flexible blades contour to the shape of your head for a baby smooth shave every time. It'll shave 50% more hair in a single stroke compared to traditional razors, cutting your shave time down from 10 or 15 minutes to just 2 or 3 minutes for a full head and face shave, and you'll never cut yourself shaving again. The Flex Series Safeguard technology means no nicks, no ingrown hairs, and no problem. Plus, the Flex Series waterproof design means you can shave in the shower with or without shaving cream, shave wet or dry. In the past, I've had to use the buzzer out in front of my sink, and then I have to go in the shower to use the proper straight edge razor. This Flex Series razor eliminates one of those two options. I only need to use the Flex Series now. I don't have to do the straight razor. It means I'm not walking across my bathroom floor, dropping little bits of hair all over the place. It's one move, all in the shower, and I don't even need the shaving cream anymore. I can just do it wet. So to thank you guys for being such loyal listeners, we've been partnered with Freedom to give you an exclusive 20% off when you go to freedomgrooming.com/tire. That's freedomgrooming.com/tire to get 20% off the Flex Series electric shaver. Try it now, save time, and get that bald head looking great every time. freedomgrooming.com/tire. Also brought to you today in part by Berryman Products here at Westside Collector Car Storage, my shop. We have cars that sometimes do a lot of sitting. Now, although we as part of our service here at WCCS, we start up and warm these cars up to temperature once a month if they're not being driven, and we also shuffle them around. We keep them on a battery tender. We move them so they don't get flat spots in their tires. All the things that you would want to do. When we have cars in long-term storage, we also use the Berryman 4-step professional air and fuel system maintenance kit. By pouring this stuff in the gas tank and mixing it with the fuel, when we do the warm-up, it can clean all major intake and fuel system components in fuel-injected gas-powered vehicles, including modern direct injection and turbocharged cars. It improves hard starts, rough idles, poor fuel economy, and overall drivability. And the proprietary universal application system works with both air intake and manifold vacuum injection systems. It's safe on catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. Now, if you're driving your car a lot, you can blast through a bottle of this stuff real quick, right? With just one tank of gas, really clean out your system, get your car running well. If the car is in storage, like most of the cars that we have here are, it'll help stabilize that fuel so it doesn't build up these deposits and get gunked up in the lines and cause those problems down the road. So when the customer does to come to get the car, when you take that car out of storage, it will run like it's supposed to. This is really good stuff, all made in America since 1918. And Berryman products, not just the 4-step professional air and fuel system maintenance kit, but all of their products are available at your favorite automotive retailer or automotive parts store, or by going to berrymanproducts.com. berrymanproducts.com. Of course, last but not least, we're brought to you today by Off the Record, the official speeding ticket fighting partner of the Smoking Tire podcast. We believe firmly that you should not plead guilty to tickets. Just because you've been pulled over doesn't mean your wallet needs to suffer further, right? If you get a ticket, it's very easy to go, well, it's just $150 or whatever. I'll just plead guilty and get on with my life. Don't do it, folks. Go to Off the Record. Here's why. That ticket, it's not just going to be the cost of the fine. There's going to be court costs, there's going to be administration fees, and your insurance company is going to find out about it. Guess what? Your premiums are going to go up, and they're going to go up not just for months, but for years, potentially. It's a financial ecosystem that you do not want to be a part of. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TST10 on the Off the Record app, and they will partner you with a qualified attorney in the area where you got that ticket. Maybe it's where you live. Maybe it's where you were on vacation. Maybe it's where you work. Maybe it's far away from home, and that's why you really want someone else to handle it for you. Off the Record will partner you, will pair you with a qualified attorney who will fight that ticket, help get those points off your record so you're not being punished over and over for the same thing. It's very easy. Once you make your account, basic information, all you have to do is upload a photo or a scan of the ticket you received. Off the Record will handle everything else, and if they don't get those points off the record, you don't pay. It's that simple, folks. It's very affordable, and if you use our code, that's TST10 on the app or offtherecord.com/TST. You get 10% off all legal services, not just the one time, but all the way into 2024. Years of protection with Off the Record. Don't leave home without it. Alrighty then, today is a crew show. Zach and I are in the house. I've just returned from Charlotte, North Carolina, and Carolina Motorsports Park, where I've tested the GR86 Cup race car. I give you the lowdown on that, as well as a review of my Ford Escape rental car. And speaking of the 86, we spend a lot of time this show talking about a story in which a gentleman's warranty claim was denied because he was at a track day, an amateur HPDE day, and blew his engine. Now, we recorded this show last week. Since then, I have to say, Toyota corporate has stepped in and offered to replace this person's engine. So while Zach and I stand by everything that is discussed in the show, and I believe there's still really good relevant information in there for everybody, just know ahead of time that that particular bit of conversation has been resolved by Toyota corporate. Not the dealer he took it to, not a different dealer, but corporate stepped in and offered to pay for his repair. So good on Toyota, and we'll have further updates to that story down the road. But it's an interesting bit of conversation. We also talk about the BMW M230i versus Zacks M3, as well as other user-submitted topics. What up, folks? Hello. Welcome to the studio. Our pal Emilia Hartford was supposed to be here today, but had a professional engagement come up last minute. She is a very busy little bee, that one.
Extremely.
But she will be here on Friday afternoon. So we bumped it to Friday. Zach and I will probably be tired because we're going to go to drive the Braptor in the middle of the desert. Everything okay over there?
Yeah, I just don't need to wear them anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it'll be Friday will be Braptor off-roading, followed by Emilia in the studio. So our apologies for all of you horny young men waiting for Emilia. The video, I wonder why the video version does so much better than the audio version when Emilia is in studio. She's got that Motul commercial that she's in now.
She's in so
really,
much stuff.
Really slanging it.
Yeah, but
Really?
she's like acting and doing other things.
Yeah.
We'll talk about her even though she's not here.
At the, no, I prefer to talk about her when she's not around. At that Porsche Santa Clarita thing we were at, I met the executive producer of a couple of the movies that she's been in. You know, she's done like a couple like Christmas movies, which are...
That's how you start, okay.
Oh, dude.
Like Hallmark stuff?
For a certain category of people, Christmas movies buy GT3 RSs. And I met the person for whom that is the truth. But this person, his name was Ari, and I'm blanking on his last name. He has also produced like a shitload of like car-related movies too. Not the Fast and the Furious, and not like Drive or like Need for Speed, but like a whole bunch of like direct to Netflix like car related movies.
Oh,
so I was talking to him briefly, and he was like, "Yeah, you want to be in a movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely,
of course,
definitely want some fucking give me like some real corny ass part." In some car movie. I was like, or you could really make my mom angry if you could put me in like, you know, a California Christmas 4 or whatever the fuck. I was like, let me be the Jew in the Christmas movie. That would be
the token Jew in the Christmas movie.
Yes, please. But anyway,
do you guys sell dreidels? And they'd be like, no, darn, you walk back out, and like that's the scene.
And cut.
What part would you want to play in a car movie? Like, let's picture Gone in 60 Seconds. Like, are you going to be a parts runner? Are you just going to be a mechanic who has one line? Like, I'd
want to be like a baddie driver. Like one of those, like, if it was Gone in 60 Seconds, I'd want to be like one of those extra guys that just like steal, like basically like the Ving Rhames part, pretty much. Like a baddie driver.
All right, so supporting actor.
Yeah,
not like a, you know, you're not at the bottom of the call sheet.
Middle to bottom. I'd like to be middle to bottom. Yeah.
All right.
I would like it to be like, is that the guy? I want people to go, is that guy?
Do you want a speaking role, or do you just want to be henchman?
I mean, I'd rather. It depends. I would speak if I can also do my own driving. I'd rather do my own driving than any amount of talking. That was what JF learned working for me. I used to get real mad when he'd be like, all right, now Lee's going to do this slide. I'd be like, no, God damn it. It's the whole reason I'm here. The entire reason I flew to Virginia was so I could do my own goddamn slides.
NSX, right? Yeah.
And I did it.
Yeah, that's true.
But speaking of flying across the country, so Emilia will be here Friday anyway, but I flew to drive the GT86 Cup race car. Love race cars. I will fly, even though like nobody watches the videos, I will fly pretty far to drive race cars, especially factory built race cars. So I met the team that does the car. Almost all of them came from Toyota's NASCAR effort, which is pretty cool. Okay. Nobody really off the production car side. It's everyone off the NASCAR side. And you know, I'm doing a story for Road and Track print, the motorsports issue, which is the next one. The one that just came out is the handmade issue, which both Zach and I are in. Yeah. Zach's got his Batmobile article. Yep. And actually the guy who drew the Batmobile, Ash Thorpe, is coming on the show
like
next week to talk about that and other things. We wanted to do it after the issue came out. So Zach's in it and I'm in it doing the Model T thing. Go pick that up. It's on newsstands, or subscribe even maybe. But I'm doing this 86 thing for the motorsport issue, which is next month. And basically Toyota wanted to have a factory-built race car that slides in between like Spec Miata and GT4. So somewhere between that. So they're doing a spec race series like Spec Miata, and I think there's 33 cars in it. They sent me the schedule of where they're racing. It's like it's real tracks.
I mean, I bet. How many races are there in the season?
I want to say there's 10 or 12 maybe. But it's like Road America, Road Atlanta, Indianapolis, like the tracks, VIR, Watkins Glen, like the tracks they're using are like very legit tracks. I think Sonoma's one.
Oh, it'd be so good.
And the purse money is legit too. It escalates throughout the season, but like they're giving away like $1 million in prize money.
Wow. So they really are trying to like continue to support and foster this idea that this is the Toyota Miata.
Yeah, but they want it to perform, and I think it does perform a half a notch above where a spec Miata performs. It's got its weight reduced down to 2,830 pounds, I think. The engine is sealed, but it has Bosch engine management, no cats, Borla exhaust, and they use a baffled oil pan, which helps with the high G oil thing, which we'll get to that later. It's got a Sadev 6-speed sequential gearbox. It's on slicks. It's got Alcon Motorsport brakes, JRI independent reservoir shocks. It's got a front splitter with an under tray thing going on. It's got a rear wing, Lexan windows, built-in video V-box, OMP safety gear. They cut some other extra holes for aero, cut some holes in the hood. So it's fucking legit, and especially because of the Sadev gearbox. Interestingly, stock clutch. It does not have one of those like shitty
Triple
race
plate.
clutches. So yeah, because I think I don't know why they can get away with it and others need to use the shit clutch, but like.
It's a power thing. Like
I don't know. Maybe it's because it's the stock power. Like, it's possible, but it's perfectly easy to take it off, take off from a stop. That's that was nice.
That's good. Also, you want this to be a very approachable car. You don't want it to be difficult for people to drive, but also that keeps the cost down for repairs. Yeah,
but really fun. I mean, I did. The first session, I came back and I was like, "This is a fucking good time." This car. They had 2 different cars there. They had a slightly different aero package on one, and one of them also had closed Lexan windows with air conditioning, and the other one had no windows at all and no air conditioning. So they were trying to figure out what the final one will be. My vote was for no windows, no air conditioning.
I thought you were going to go air conditioning.
No, because even though it was like 94 degrees and humid at Carolina Motorsports Park, like, it was fine without the air conditioning. And when we're talking about 230 like NA horsepower, I could feel it, the air conditioning sapping the power. And when you're full throttle a lot, like, it doesn't really work that great anyway. Like, it only works like okay. It's not like it's like automatic like climate control. It's like one button that's like AC, and it's just full.
And honestly, like when I did that Sebring Lemons race, we didn't have AC, of course, but it was 95. We had cool shirts on, windows down. Like with that combination, the heat's not that bad.
Well, and the races are 45 minutes long. It's not an endurance race. You're not doing 90-minute double fuel stints. It's a 45-minute race. Yeah. So worst case, you connect a cool shirt and you're fine.
Yeah.
But like, I just didn't think, and even with the windows, you still have to have a net. So it's not like, well, you have windows, but there's no net, so you can see better. Like, there's still a fucking net. So like, why? The windows didn't make any. I could see why somebody would say, let's try one with windows and air conditioning, but I didn't like that one.
Yeah, especially if you were doing endurance racing. It could make it more livable, but.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing an endurance race and you have to drive 3 hours through the rain, maybe that's better.
Right.
But like, I drove in the rain in a fucking car with no roof in an endurance race, and like, I got wet, but like, it was okay. If you're going over like 60, 70, you don't even really get that wet.
True.
So,
was it turn in just like intuitive?
It was easy as fuck to drive. Like, as far as a car that's on slicks, like, I don't think I've ever driven something that was that easy to drive on slicks. Usually slicks can be, a little, especially if the car's like 500 and something horsepower and big GT3 aero, and you're really meant to drive beyond what you think you can drive, because the aero on this car was kind of limited and the horsepower was kind of limited. It was a real momentum car, and so it took me about 4 sessions to get 1.5 seconds off what their Pro could do. So like
That's good.
I think, and a lap was like a 1:45. So like I was decent. I wasn't like they weren't like, you need to be racing for us, but I was like, oh, okay. You know, the first session I was 4 seconds off, then I was 2 seconds off, then 1 3/4,
Wow,
then 1
nice.
1/2. With some more time, I could probably get a little more off too, but like it was pretty good. I put on like a pretty decent show. I didn't break anything. So like that was good. And then it pissed rain for 20 minutes. And it actually worked out because it was right when we were doing the car-to-car photography.
Oh,
so
that might
like
look a
we
lot more
instantly had a fucking dramatic wet racetrack.
Yeah.
And they had some rain tires as well. So I was able to run a few laps in the damp and like just see how it was. And the rain tires were nice. They were good.
What's the grip level difference? Like
it
percentage-wise?
was a lot less.
70% to the slick
Yeah,
100 or something?
70%, 60%. But like still was pretty easy to drive. I mean, this thing on rain tires was basically like the street car on the PS4S's, you know, more or less.
Still more gripped up. You're not sliding around or anything. You're not...
No, and by the time we finished the photography and I got in the other car on the rain tires to try it out, like because it was so hot and it was also quite windy, the track dried like really fast. I was shocked at how fast the track dried. It's $125,000 for the car, and then it's $32,000 to enter the season. Now you still have to provide your own tires, fuel, spares, and support.
Right.
But Toyota will be there with hospitality. They'll be there with a semi full of spare parts. So if you break something, all the parts will be there, and you could buy them from them. Factory support. And some of that, but it's I think so when I drove the spec Miata, the ND Cup, was like 2018, and it was like $67,000 for one of those. But since then, in 2020, they put the SEDEV gearbox in that too, because I guess people were breaking the 6-speeds.
Okay.
Apparently they were breaking the 6-speeds, and the SEDEVs are really tough.
And for reference, I looked up spec Miata weight, and this post it's 5 years old, but it says 2,332 pounds.
Yeah,
so
it's light, but it's also
lighter.
like 50 less horsepower.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're fun. Like the spec Miata is really fun, but if you're my size, this is much more comfortable. I think it's also incrementally faster, and I think it's a little more fun. Like I think the difference in power, I haven't tried them. I'd like to try a spec Miata with the sequential. I bet that's pretty cool actually. But it feels more powerful and torquey.
Yeah.
And the low center of gravity, like you can huck the thing, and it's really, really like, you'd have to buy a Porsche. Like your next step up from this would be like a GT4 Club Sport, and that's like $250, you know. So they're trying to split the gap between MX-5 Cup and a GT4 Club Sport, and I think they do.
Nice.
I think they do.
Is the engine modified in any way from the stock engine, like for reliability reasons or anything?
It has a redesigned oil pan.
Okay.
That is designed to prevent oil starvation in high G corners.
Got it. Okay.
And they did say, they're like, look, if you're running like R888s or like cheater tires on a stock car, you probably want to upgrade your oil pan anyway. If you're running slicks, like Sebring is one of the tracks, and they're like turn 17,
right,
super high G, you know, no banking, flat on slicks. There's like, he's like, you'd starve the regular engine doing that over and over. So they have this special oil pan that prevents that. But other than that, they're sealed units.
Got it. Okay.
So it's the stock power, but I think they might get the Bosch engine management. They said it doesn't really add power. They said it allows you to program the response a little better, and it also it eliminates certain things like CAN bus systems that are like the airbags and shit that's like just integrated with the regular ECU. The Bosch engine management like gets rid of that.
Right, that way you don't turn it on and have 9 check engine lights for, you know, silly stuff.
Yeah, and you also have like a digital dash, you know, and the panel that's a really nice panel on the dash with like really clear, well lit, easy to read buttons that it like have rings that glow different colors. It was actually like I could make I could make some adjustments like while driving. Actually, like I've never been in any race car where I could make any kind of real adjustments while driving. Like this one, like that's not. What the fuck is that? That's not the car. That might be a very early car.
I know.
Well, that's the car I drove on the track I drove it, and that's the one with the windows. Number 86 there.
Okay.
I don't know what that other car was. That might have been a Miata, actually. The dash looked completely different. But it was actually very easy. It does have traction control and it does have ABS. I had my best times with those on. They go up, it's 1 through 10, where 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. I did my best with them both on 1. You could go to 0 also. Like, it wasn't like, I didn't really need the help, and I didn't try 0. And they said their pro liked them on like 5, actually. So I'm not really sure. I didn't have enough time in the car to really start messing with the differences. But it was easy to change them like while I was driving. Like the buttons were like big and clear, and the dash was like big and clear. Like it was fucking nice.
That's awesome.
And like
it prepares you for, the higher level of the car, the more buttons there are, the more adjustment there is. So this is like the entry series into that knowledge as well.
Yeah, but even if you're used to driving like faster cars, like this thing was really fun. Like with the sequential, like it feels like a real pro grade race car. But you have to, you got to keep the revs up. So you got to be in the right gear for sure. Like there's a big difference if you're in a gear too high, coming out of a corner. And the red line is like 7,700, which I think might be a little higher than stock. It might be a couple hundred RPM higher than stock. But really, really, really fun. And I think if I were to look at my laps and my times, the one place like where the pro would gain time on me was taking more and deeper curbing. The curbing was pretty bumpy at this place, and so there were places where you could probably get an extra 3 or 4 miles an hour if you were willing to go way deeper into the exit curbing. But I was like,
you were trying to be nice to the car.
Well, I just like, what's the best thing that could happen versus what's the worst thing that could happen?
The best thing is that you'd win a race that no one else is participating in. Yeah.
And the worst thing is that I could write off the only cars they have.
Right.
They don't have another one right now. But the cars are all going to be hand built. I mean, they're pulled off the line. They all start as a production car, and then they're hand turned into race cars at a facility in Mooresville, North Carolina, which is where a lot of NASCAR teams and racing teams are based. And so they're going to do these spec cars first for the race series, and then you'll be able to buy one. And then they're just going to have them for sale. And I'm not sure what the process will be for buying one, but people will be able to buy one. And I asked about endurance racing, because I was like, damn, this thing for like an AER race would be awesome. Like, I'd love to do a 90-minute AER stint in one of these cars. But I was like, can the engine, can it hold up to a 24-hour race? And they're like, we haven't really done that yet. They said they don't see why it wouldn't, but they are really focusing on the thing that they need now, which is these 45-minute races. And he said one of their guys, I forget which one of their guys, did like 7 hours in a day, and it was fine.
Yeah, they need to do the durability testing. I bet it's super fun. I mean, it's the same. The foundation of it is more powerful, more torque than a Miata, which is why I prefer these cars to Miatas. And then if you just add all the good parts that make a well set up light sports car fun, then
the center of gravity being so low means you can really huck it into a corner and you don't get that body roll. Even the ND Cup cars have some body roll built into them, which can be fun, and it makes for some forgiving and ability to get some really be on the edge.
So they kept the ND in the ND Cup car.
Yes, they did. But this thing is like flat. But the shock tuning is excellent, so you can, like, even when the curbs were really bumpy, that's why I didn't want to take too much exit curb, because I didn't want to be like peak load, peak torque at a that's where like bad things could happen.
Yep.
If something was going to happen, that was where it would happen. And so I didn't hit those too much, except by the end I was taking a little bit more, and it was like really comfortable. Like if you were going to sit in a race car and do a 90-minute stint, it was like real comfortable. And
nice.
Very pleasant.
Good looking race car too.
Good looking race
things.
car. Good sounding race car. It makes a nice sound. Especially they've programmed some like shotgun bangs into the
really?
the gearbox. And one of the guys, Mark, who's like the head of the program, was like very sensitive about it. He's like, "Do you like that? You like what it does and the banging?" And I was like, I think it's kind of fun. He's like, I don't really like it. He's like, the team's kind of split on it because I guess it's intentional. You can make it do that or not. And so some of the team was like, yeah, fucking make it bang.
So it's like the chunky, like that kind of sound?
It has the gearbox thing, but it also like makes a
backfire.
bang out of the exhaust.
Gotcha.
It's a conscious choice that it's done. And it seemed to do it more going into third, both from second and from fourth, than anything else. I don't know why. It doesn't do it at all going into fifth. Don't really know. Carolina Motorsports Park is also pretty nice.
They programmed a little bit of drama into it.
It's a very nice little circuit. Medium speed. I'm like 14 corners. Not much elevation, but good flowing vibe. Couple high speed, high G corners. But if you've got a car of 200 to 400 horsepower, a very nice place to drive a sports car. Middle of fucking nowhere, as many tracks are.
As all tracks are, really.
As all the
other
tracks
than
are.
Monaco.
Yeah, get the satellite view. So I pretty much ran that. The external loop is pretty much what we did there, and the kink, which is right at the 6 o'clock position of the track, down right there. That bend is about 120 miles an hour flat in fifth, and you bend that around, and that's probably the highest G portion of the circuit. I really enjoyed that section.
So you're setting up pretty fast here on whatever this
That corner, yeah, at the end of the
before.
back straight, you're the top of fifth, and you go down to third, really, to make that one. You could probably keep it in fourth, but that's where that was the main place I didn't want to take too much outside curbing. There's a lot, you can see how wide the curbing is.
And you can
there.
also see there's a lot of dirt of different colors, so it seems like people have gone even outside the curbing.
If you were in a race, you'd take a lot of curbing there. I didn't want to take too deep. You can see people go fucking even more than the curbing. You know, people are in the dirt there. But that was the place where I didn't necessarily need to be a hero. But it probably could have been a fourth gear corner if I wanted to be a hero. But as it is, it was really more of a third gear corner. And then the complex, sort of in the center there, on the front straight runs downhill through, right. So that's front straight where you've got it there, right in front of where it says Carolina Motorsports Park, and that turn 1, 2, 3 complex there, which I guess are kind of like the S's, is a very fun complex.
It looks very fun. It's like tight radius and then a medium and then it opens up, so that's kind of gets you onto this front section. Ooh, it looks fun. It is.
It's very fun, easy to learn. Plenty of visibility. Only took a few laps to really get a feel for it, but I liked the track. It was nice, and I saw Bozy in Charlotte. Got to
cool.
have dinner with Bozy afterwards. I don't know about Charlotte. It's not really. I don't think it's for me. But
I mean, if you want to work in racing,
if you want
in
to work
America,
in racing,
it is definitely the place to be.
But it was just there was such a divide between forgotten America and gentrified part of Charlotte.
Oh,
it was one block. I think it might have even been something like over train tracks. I mean, it might have been as on the nose as possible. As like, oh, I'm here now. And even the gentrified part was like shit that was dope in LA 4 years ago. Like Posey was like, let's go to this restaurant. It's like super dope. It's like you'll dig it. It's awesome. I was like, yeah, you pick whatever's good. And it was North Italia.
Oh,
which is
good.
Which is
but
good.
Yeah, it's a chain.
It's good, but it's a chain that was like awesome here like 4 years ago.
I mean, I still like it a lot, but
I
know
still go to North Italia
because when it opened here at first, we thought it was one of one.
Yeah,
and then we went, oh, there's 5 in the area.
There's a bunch of these. Yeah, no, I'm not too good for North Italia. I think it's delicious. Shout out to North Italia. Your food's fucking good. I love that garlic bread they have.
He's like, hey, they're showing The Matrix 3 soon in theaters, and these poke bowls are popping up. You guys
man,
those
but my
before?
hotel was in a depressing part of Charlotte. It was not. It was definitely forgotten America.
How long were you there? A couple days?
2 nights.
2 nights?
Yeah.
So 1 day at the track and just 1 day in.
Yeah, fly in, gym, sleep. Next day, track all day, dinner, sleep. Then I left at 5 again in the morning. I rented a Ford Escape. Oh, my God. What a fucking horrible car. People think I'm a shill for Ford because I've said some nice things about some of their cars, even though I'm pretty honest about the bad things about my Mach-E. The Ford Escape is a fucking trash heap of a car. It had that, I think the automatic gearbox that might still be left from the Focus.
Oh, the one that
like
has
the
had
one
many
that just
recalls.
Sucks.
Yeah.
And you know how like, I mean, you may not know because you don't drive as many race cars as I do, but like sequential gearboxes, you know from filming them, when you're doing that slow car to car and it's like, you know, like a sequential gearbox needs to be floored or full brake. It does not want to use 2% throttle to cruise and do photos. And this thing was like that all the time. This is a 14,000 mile Escape.
That doesn't seem right.
It looked like it was in pretty good shape, and the gearbox was fucked.
My dad rented one of those in Palm Springs, and I drove it. And as we pulled into a driveway, not a garage, just a driveway with lots of space, the parking sensor went off and it hit the brake. And my dad said, well, what was that? And I was like, oh, it thought something was next to us that was not.
Yeah.
Like it had
This
that
car
error.
was terrible. And it was such a shame because like the interface, like the CarPlay interface was good. Seats were reasonably comfortable. The hatchback had room for all my shit, you know, like, and on the surface, like it was, you know, it's a rental car. So my qualifiers were like not much, right? I needed a compact crossover that didn't smell funny. That's like pretty much my only, you know, need. But this thing just drove like trash and it sounded like a diesel. Like it sounded like a 2004 diesel Volkswagen.
I don't know what year car you had, but
this was like a 21 or 22. It's a current one.
All right, so this is from old 2011 to 2016 Focus Fiesta. They're dual clutches.
I mean, I feel like it felt like the same shit transmission. Like if it was just an automatic, I'd have a very hard time believing that the torque converter would be that fucked in 14,000 miles. Maybe it is an automatic.
I mean,
I don't know,
it might just be like
horrible.
a bad transmission that people beat the shit out of.
Awful. A miserable
How often
car.
should you change automatic transmission fluid?
I don't know. Not in 14,000 miles though. That's nothing.
Yeah. Well, in rental car miles, like dog years, maybe that's more like 45.
Yeah.
Multiplied by 3.
Yeah. But I must have had really good. I had good flying karma this time, because the problem with traveling and having to film race cars. And oh, by the way, the video that I'd made, and I did make a video, it's for Road and Track. It's not for TST. So I'm writing an article. Part of my contract with Road and Track is that I make 3 videos for them a year, and they wanted this to be one of them. So I'll share the video on all the socials when I have it, but it's not going to be on the TST YouTube channel. It's going to be on wherever the fuck Road and Track is. So I sent them a bunch of raw footage. Hope they don't fuck it up. I don't know what they're going to do with it. We'll see. But the problem flying to film race cars is, so you got the camera case, but you really want to take that on the plane. But then you got your racing gear, and you can't take both.
Because your helmet will not fit in the overhead.
Well, no, the helmet will fit in the overhead, but not in a backpack. Like I couldn't put my helmet in a backpack. Right, and I needed my backpack because I had to bring my computer, and so I put my clothes, my Hans device, and my computer and all my cables and shit in the backpack. Okay, Then I had my helmet bag that just had my helmet and my like little bathroom kit in it, which was pretty light for this trip, 2 nights. And then I had the camera case. And I was like, maybe I can sneak the helmet bag on. I held it together
like
as
walk
part
on
of the
with 3 things.
Yeah. And I didn't even make it to the first I didn't make it to like where they divide you between pre-check and regular. She was like, you got to go back and check that. And I was like, you don't understand. I was like, I need all of these things, and I have a connection, and and it's so small. Like, this is the size of a purse. Like, come on. And she was like, the rule's the rule, and you're on camera, and and I was like, oh, fine. So I checked the camera case.
Ooh, bold move.
Well, but my thinking was that the helmet was smaller, and it would be more likely to just get lost in the shuffle.
Well, and the other thing with the helmet is if a luggage handler should drop it, like,
you could crack
you're
it.
not there. Yes.
It's not. It doesn't have that much. My helmet bag doesn't have that much protection.
Yeah.
If you hucked it, you could crack it through the bag.
Or if it fell off the conveyor belt or something. Yeah, that'd be bad.
So I kept the helmet and the backpack and checked the camera case, but it came in. But it got there, so I had the shit. But it was fucking stressful.
Yeah, this is like the train track question. You know,
it's
the camera version. It's the trolley question.
problem.
Like, do you want to pull this lever and have your camera, or do you want to have your clothing?
Yeah, same thing's gonna happen with P. Cody. Got to go to P. Cody, and so what I'm gonna do is FedEx my helmet to my parents' house.
Yeah, that makes sense because you don't need it in.
Because I'm going to Germany first.
Yeah, you don't need it in Germany.
Yeah, I got to make a connection in Detroit to get to Germany with the camera case, and then I got to make a connection in Amsterdam with the camera case to get back to P. Cody.
Because you can carry the cameras on and check your clothes, or you're gonna go vice versa.
I might do. I'll probably do that. I'll probably check my clothes. Yeah, because if I go to my parents' house, I got some backup outfits.
Yeah,
there
you go.
Yeah,
because you need the cameras coming back. You don't need the cameras going there.
I do, because I'm filming the Alpina B6.
Oh, that's right.
Did we talk about that? This is so interesting.
We did,
but I think we did. I don't know if we did. In case we did, I'm just talking. I'm going to this thing in Germany, and I don't know how much about. I have to figure out how much about the thing in Germany I can actually talk about.
Secret ninja training.
It's secret ninja training, and it's a thing for Jewish people. No, and I wanted a car to drive in Germany. I was like, maybe I can make something fun out of this. So I'm flying into Munich, so I was asking about the BMW M3 Touring, which will not be available. It's not going to be available until like spring or far later in the year.
Yeah.
So I was like, what about like an Alpina something or other? And so I emailed the Alpina guy, and once they verified that I wasn't just asking it to use it as like a rental car, that I actually was going to make a video, they were like, sure, no problem. So I have an Alpina B8 Grand Coupe, which is the 4-door version of their of the 8 series, all Alpina'd up. And Alpinas, they have their own like VIN numbers. You know, they're sort of bodies in white are sent over to the Alpina.
They're considered a manufacturer in Germany. So yeah.
So it's interesting. So they then go, well, you could take a train to the factory to get the car. And I go, well, I'm going to have gear. So is there any way that I could someone can pick me up, or I could get a car service or something? And they go, oh yeah. And the CEO of Alpina is going to pick me up. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah. His name's Andreas. I think I'm going to mispronounce his last name. It's like Blovenstein or something like that. I'm going to fuck it. Bovin. Oh my God. Yes, Bovensiepen. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Bovensiepen, for fucking your name up. But apparently he used to be a racing driver and is a really interesting guy. So this guy's going to pick me up. Nice. And then I'm going to get a factory tour at Alpina.
If he takes you on the Autobahn, he's a racing driver.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll go get there quite swiftly.
We could be whipping. And then, and then I'm going to get an Alpina for the trip, which will be fun. I have time to film it, actually. So
how many other? We rode in a car with John Krafschick when he was CEO of Hyundai. I'm trying to think of like OEM CEO interactions we've had that don't make sense considering their position.
I've been
You're like,
I've been
John,
with Christian von Koenigsegg.
Right,
In
small company.
In the free valve car.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, you know, these are giant OEMs, and the guy's like, yeah, I'm riding with you today to the track. And you're like, really? No helicopter?
Aston Martin North America. Adam Chamberlain. Rode with him.
Didn't we have breakfast with the CEO of at Audrain?
Oh, Bugatti.
Yeah.
That was the CEO of Bugatti.
He did like a speech thing.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
He was funny, actually.
Yeah,
I like
he
that.
was.
The French guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool. I forget his name, but he was cool as fuck. Yeah, so that's happening. But I wanted to go back and talk briefly about the oil pans with the 86 race car, because there's a story in Road and Track, and a bunch of people sent it to me, like a whole bunch of people, and it's good that it's being talked about because I think Toyota will probably address it, but multiple people who sent it to me, as well as multiple media outlets, not The Drive, so good for Peter Holdreth, are talking about this like it is a systematic issue. Owners are being denied. They're using the plural.
True.
And it's not. It's one guy. So far. Now, not to say it couldn't happen, but I read the guy's original Facebook post, and I read all 537 comments on the Facebook post. No one else was like, oh, this happened to me too. And the Facebook post was from like the SCCA's thing. The crux of the story is that a guy, first off, when Toyota is including with a purchase of an 86, a NASA membership
for a year,
and a free NASA track day.
Yeah.
Okay. Encouraging you to take your car to a track. This dude, whose name escapes me, but it's the person driving this black 86 in the photo, took his car to a track day and blew his motor. Right? There's also photos of him, I believe on his Facebook page, like drifting his car in like a parking lot.
According to the Arc Library, there's one photo of him sliding the car on his Instagram, and he says, this is allegedly, of course, he says that was the only time he ever drifted the car.
Right.
Right.
So he blows his motor. And go back up to that photo of the car. Are those aftermarket wheels and tires? I don't know. Do those look like the stock wheels to you?
I can't tell.
I can't really tell, but those don't. I don't know if those look like the stock wheels.
Is there a photo of his?
So there's. I guess there was a known issue with the car where RTV, which is like a sealant, gets inside the engine and causes a problem. Am I understanding that right?
Right. So this
in the oil
this was
pickup
a problem
or
with the
something?
last generation cars.
Right.
They're using RTV somehow in the either sealing process of the engine or in the manufacturing process, but it was getting stuck on the oil pickup in the last gen cars, and obviously that could cause some oil starvation.
So in the last generation car, that was a warrantyable problem.
Yeah.
So this guy brings his car to the dealer, and a field service technician examines the car, examines the problem, and denies his warranty claim, allegedly after going on this dude's social media and seeing photos of the car at the track. So one thing, the first thing is, if you're going to take your brand new car under warranty to a track, don't put fucking pictures of it on social media. Like, that's the most common sense shit ever. Because, as we said a whole bunch of times on this show, any bureaucratic system, whether it's the cops, customs, any bureaucrat, the airport security, whatever, all of these systems come down to the mood of one person on the day you need them. That's it. And also when it comes to car dealers are separate from the manufacturer in a lot of ways. They're independent businesses. They're operating under franchise agreements. But the dealer has their service technician, and it's the dealer's choice whether to honor that or not. Now I don't know what there was I saw the photo of the free track day and of the invite, and there was an asterisk next to it, but no one said what the asterisk led to. I don't know what a couple people implied that the track day experience that they offered you for free would somehow void your warranty. Now, I don't know about that. And so I don't know. It does say, here it says Toyota UK saying using your GR Yaris for track days or similar events does not invalidate your warranty. Toyota North America's warranty says racing and abuse will void an owner's warranty.
Right. So abuse obviously is open to their interpretation. And so what the owner of this, in one of the articles, his name is Blake, and his comment was the tech supervisor at this dealership is known in the area as a drifter. He goes and does drifting events. And yet he still denied Blake's claim. So they're assuming that Blake drifts the car often, and then that is considered abuse, and that would put more strain on the engine, cause oil starvation, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, Blake, because he had the engine taken apart, I think it was by an independent shop, though, right? And that's how they documented the...
Well, he later took it to an independent shop. He took it to the dealer. They denied the claim and then said, you have to either pay us for this service or get this thing out of here.
Okay.
He then took it to an independent shop.
Okay. And they, the bearing failed in cylinder 4.
So, like, I feel bad for this dude. Like, I do. And if they're giving you a track experience, and if you were to blow your engine during that track experience, which this was not, this was a separate track thing, that would be, I mean, if they didn't warranty that would be like insanity.
Well, also, but I mean, I think if your engine blew at a sanctioned NASA event, because they give you the membership, like, that should also be covered.
Yeah.
So I think they're going, well, this is outside what we believe is acceptable for this car.
Yeah. But, and I feel bad for this guy, I really do. It sucks. Super shitty. Like, to buy a $25,000, $30,000 car and then blow your engine and have to have a $10,000 bill to fix it. Like, I get it. But I would not ever put pictures of my warranted car on a track on my social media.
I mean, I think you're smarter than you've been watching this for longer, but I think what sucks about this is that their whole ad campaign for this car was like literally featuring drifting, jumps, you know, hoonigan shit. And I know
that's like every car commercial, though.
I know, but I think they know that.
I mean, imagine you dumped a fucking front end loader full of fucking rocks onto your Chevy bed and blew out the rear shocks.
Right, which might happen, but I think it's shitty when the car is aimed at enthusiasts, the advertising is aimed at enthusiasts, and Ford isn't saying, come to our front loader day where we will drop rocks in your truck. They're saying, if you come to this track day, here's a membership. Like, they're encouraging you to drive the car, not as advertised, but in a way that is spirited and like supporting the racing culture. So that's a little bit shitty. And I know they can't cover every claim because people would probably abuse it and it would run the dealerships out of business. But there is this weird gray area where the company is trying to market to people that track their cars. And then we're saying, like, you can't even take a photo of your car at the event that they might have paid for you to attend because it could come back and bite you in the ass. It just sucks.
It does suck. But it comes down to the attitude that one field inspector had the power to approve this or deny it. And whether his dealership stands behind his decision is up to that dealership. Like, I don't know if it was just on Twitter or if I talked about it on the show, my cousin who ordered the Jeep and then the dealership sold it out from under her, you know. And I called the Stellantis guy who we know to say, like, hey man, what the fuck is going on with this? And he was like, I'm sorry, you know, we'll try to help your cousin out with a different Jeep, but I can't punish this dealer because of the franchise agreement. There's a limited amount to what the corporation can do to this dealer that's an independent business owner. Right. And so this guy got fucked. I believe this guy got fucked. They probably should have covered him. But what I'm not seeing is that it is a widespread, systematic thing right now, as of right now.
It's not the Focus RS head gasket situation,
right?
Where it was like, oh, there's more and more and more. Yeah.
That's not what I'm, and it might have. Maybe the next week that'll be different if 30 more people come forward and say, hey, I blew my engine too, and they didn't cover me. But right now, it's just this one guy who got fucked by this other one guy, and the store didn't want to disagree with the guy. Now maybe this dude, if he's a known drifter, maybe he doesn't want to seem to his boss like he's super sympathetic to other drifters. Maybe this guy's just trying to fucking stay on the straight and narrow and keep his job. Maybe he put through a bunch of warranty claims already that might have been kind of suspect. I don't know. Maybe he's a shitbag. I don't know.
No, but I mean, also just, we don't know, like, how his job is set up and what the rules are for him and how many things he can approve and not approve.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of that with basically any job in the world. There's like, what will your manager accept? Like when I was a waiter, how much discount could I give? How frequently could I give discounts or give free stuff away if there was a problem, if there wasn't a problem?
Yeah.
You can't just hand shit out all the time.
Yeah. But it's where I hope Toyota corporate steps in and does the right thing. It seemed like until this story blew up, they may not have even known about it. It seemed like this thing stopped at the dealer level, and once you get denied by one dealer, then you probably can't go to another.
Yeah, then you're in the computer.
Then you're in the system.
You're in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe Toyota will step in and they haven't really said any kind of official statements. It's a bummer. And if you, but as a consumer, one thing I would definitely say is if you're going to track days with your car, whether it's an 86 or a fucking GT3, don't put pictures of it on social media. And if it's too late and you've already got them on social media, if you go to if you blow that engine and you're going to submit a warranty claim, you better scrub that shit first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not too late. You could they're not going to look at, they're not going to keep a database of every car they see at the track in case somebody makes a warranty claim. But if you make a warranty claim and they go to your fucking Instagram and the very first page has you
doing a
drifting
or
doing something where, a guy who's having a bad day could use that as ammo to deny your claim.
Right.
You got to be a little more careful than that. Like, everyone wants to show off on social media, and like that photo of him drifting the car, like, yeah, that looks cool for your friends, but like, is it worth it? I mean,
this is the world we live in. Like you said, whether it's the police or anything else, like people videotaping their sideshows.
Yeah,
sideshows are very dumb. I want to state that publicly first. But like, you're filming your own evidence for when you eventually get in trouble for this dumb shit.
Yeah. And I don't want it to seem like I don't feel bad for the dude. I feel bad for the dude. I really do. But like everyone else out there, what can we learn?
Right.
What can we learn from this? It's like anytime something really bad happens to someone, I like to try to find the lesson. The lesson is don't take pictures of your car at racetracks. And if you do, and you have to make a warranty claim later,
make your account private.
Yeah. Or fucking take those photos down. And so that if someone looks and takes a quick browse through your fucking Instagram, they don't immediately come up on a picture of that very same car fucking drifting, That's just it's a bummer, but like that's how you navigate that system.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's true.
So I hope it doesn't become a wider spread issue, and I hope more people don't get screwed, and I hope Toyota clarifies what you can and can't do with these cars under warranty. Because it would be annoying. I mean, if you have an otherwise stock car and you can't take it to a basic track day, that sucks.
Yeah, because someone brought up the Raptor thing from the first-gen Raptor, which is not a perfect analogy. And I remember, they were bending frames.
Yeah.
People don't remember all the commercials when the Raptor first came out. The Raptor was jumping, leaping through the desert. And then people started doing that with their Raptors, and they were bending the frame right where the cab meets the bed. There was this pinch thing that was happening. And Ford denied everyone's claims, but then they started adding reinforcement to the trucks in later versions.
Yeah.
The difference is a jump the severity of a impact when you land can vary hugely with 2 miles an hour difference, a little bit different lip. How's the landing versus on the commercial? Like, I think that's why it's different than if Toyota starts denying claims of people that are attending NASA sanctioned events. That's like, no, I was doing the thing that you said I could do.
Yeah.
The jump is incredibly subjective, and some people were, sending it off motocross jumps.
Well, that's
and
why it says in the
shit.
commercial, professional driver, closed course, do not attempt.
Right.
Like, that's literally what that means.
And that's there because
that
for
means
lawyers.
if you fuck this up and break your car, you're on your own. That's literally what that means. I wouldn't be surprised if the commercials said that shit too.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I think pretty much every car commercial has that text because it's like, because if you did that and then crashed and sued them, like the lawyers wrote that probably 50 years ago.
Yeah, and I don't want to be the guy defending the big corporation. I think if they're inviting you to track days and it says in the fine print, if you go to this track day, it voids your warranty, that's fucked up. It shouldn't say that. That's crazy. That would be an unbelievable sneaky-ass sleight of hand.
Yeah, it's like, here's your free Nürburgring ticket, and then they just take a photo every time you go in.
But I also just think it's important to recognize that when a story spreads on the internet like wildfire, especially a story where it seems like a corporation is taking advantage of an individual, it's important to step back and go, is this systematic, or is this one guy fucking one other guy?
Right.
And so that's what it seems like now. So
we don't want this to fall into, there's a very common thing with the news where it's like people are talking about, people are saying, and all you need is two people.
Yeah.
So we don't want auto journalism to fall into that.
There were other headlines that was like,
is it plural?
Toyota's denying warranty claims. Well, no, it seems like one warranty claim.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
remove
like,
the S.
Yeah. So that's just like, critical reading 101.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. And so I'm glad that it's being written about. I think it was Brian wrote a piece for Road and Track as well about it. And I hope it makes Toyota clarify their position. But let's be level-headed about it too, and with the sympathy for that dude. Well, that's all I have on my list.
I have so someone was mentioning the Ford GT350, and this is just a weird story I want to get your take on. A guy DM'd me, and he was asking for advice for his dad's car. His dad they live in UK. His dad bought a new GT500. And I
think I heard from this person too. Is this the guy who went through 2 motors?
Went through 3 motors.
Yeah.
This is just a weird thing. His dad bought a GT500, and the engine popped under totally normal use. And the dealership replaced it once. And then it happened again. Or no, so they replaced it, and he's like, my dad's not sure what to do. Should he sell this car back to the dealer? Should he just sell it? Should he move on? And I was like, well, if your dad feels good about this engine now, does he feel like he had the GT500 experience that he wanted? Did he get that out of his system and he's ready to move on to a new car? Or does he feel like he was shortchanged before and now he wants to go make noise and rip burnouts and whatever he's going to do? And the solution was the strangest thing. His dad sold this car back to a dealership for list price, but then bought a different new GT500. So it's like he wanted to cleanse himself of this tainted car.
Yeah.
But
get another
kind
one.
of go back to the same well. I just thought that was really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a
Maybe
psychological
it was a different
thing.
color. Maybe he was like, actually, I like red.
Maybe he used it as an excuse to get out of blue.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you
or maybe he was just like, this one's got 10,000 miles on it and diminished value because it's on its second engine, and I can get out of it for even money and get in another one that's got no replacement engine. Maybe it's a long-term financial play.
That is the smart financial play. I just thought it was odd that someone get burned and then kind of go back to the same well.
I love my Tesla, but is the Twitter version of that.
Yeah, I just thought that was a really strange thing.
Yeah, I think that guy
wrote
wrote me a message too. I guess he was playing us against each other on this one.
I think maybe I responded first. I don't know.
Maybe, but yeah, that is weird. I mean, if I'm not sure if I went through 2 motors, if I would then go back to the same.
I don't think
vehicle.
I would.
I think
even though I feel like I missed out on something, I wouldn't go back again. Because what if the new one pops? Then you're going to deal with the whole process again.
Yeah, we'll see.
I just thought that was interesting.
Person out there, if he blows the motor on this one, it may be time for a different car. I've heard I haven't heard a lot of horror stories about the GT500 engine, though. I mean,
well, people are saying.
People are saying.
I haven't either.
There's some folks in LA who have them, and they've got quite a bit of miles on them. They drive them a lot, and they are fun as fuck. I love me some GT500.
Oh yeah,
GT500s. From dynamically, it's excellent. Is there anything on the Patreon today?
We have some questions.
Let's go to that.
Most recent ones.
Man, I would like to see what is the Toyota Saturday. Oh, so the free track day is called Toyota Saturday GR Track Experience. That to me sounds like some real intro to track driving, lead, follow, amateur level stuff.
Yeah, probably.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
that might.
NASA mostly runs autocross, right?
No, NASA has track days and racing.
So they can do everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
My racing license is through NASA. Can you zoom in, please?
Yes.
Lucas Terratus, is there anyone in the car YouTube world that you wouldn't have on the show because of their politics? I don't know a lot of people's politics. There's some that I could probably take a guess, but I think there's people I wouldn't have on the show because they're fucking boring. I mean, look, if there is someone out there that's spewing crazy right-wing shit on social media or something, then I probably wouldn't have them on the show. I think most car YouTubers keep their politics to themselves because it's not great for business.
Right.
Even when I talk about my lefty politics, it's not great for business. And if I cared more about more about money than I did about speaking my mind, I would probably keep my opinions to myself. So the crazy right-wingy ones, I think, probably know that because they like money. Yeah. There's more important reasons than politics to not have people on their show. Like they just suck. Rich B, what car have you driven that scared the shit out of you the most? I don't get scared a lot. I mean, there's been cars that were like...
Oh, what about the
like
Fiero?
Exoskeleton thing. Yeah.
That weird Fiero.
The Death Fiero. Yeah, home-built Fiero with a 700 horsepower Evo motor in the back and really imbalanced weight distribution so that it would turn left really well, but it would be sketchy as fuck going right.
Things that are unpredictable.
Yeah, just like home-built shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, home-built shit can be real sketchy.
I think I drove like a T-Bucket when we filmed Big Muscle, and I don't know why I didn't expect it to handle as poorly as it did, but it's like, it has bike tires in the front.
Yeah.
And 315s in the rear. Yeah. And it's just all engine. Like
also driving a Model T, like an actual Model T, like in urban California traffic is very scary. Any car where you that doesn't operate how cars today operate, when you have to reprogram your muscle memory in traffic, that's sketchy.
That's actually one of the more stressful things of driving is if you're operating a weird vehicle around normal vehicles and it's like you have to stop and go and turn and signal versus if you're on a track or out on an open road, the only real variables like you and how dumb you can be and maybe if the car breaks, but now you have to interact with other vehicles that just want to come to a stop. Yeah, that's different.
Like for the road and track story, when I was driving the Model T in the middle of the desert, it was like, oh, no big deal. The different controls, I had so long to figure out what I was going to physically do with my hands and feet.
Right.
But in the city, it was like, well, what if someone stops short in front of me? What am I going, literally, what am I going?
The Packard was so slow that you had a lot of time to plan for shit until we were in traffic.
Yeah.
And then it got real hairy.
Yeah, scary. Really old stuff. This probably
that was an Emilia
question, but I'll answer it now. Peter Mankey, I find that successful and driven people typically have a short but meaningful mission statement. What is everyone's mission statement? I have a sign hanging in my office. It says, "We have a strategic plan. It's called doing things." Pretty simple. Mm-hmm. One foot in front of the other.
Right.
Just keep doing things. That's really mine. I don't have anything beyond that.
I got this from Spinelli, who got it from somebody else, I think. But like, your last thing won't write the next one for you.
God, that haunted me for fucking years. It was in Spinelli's email signature. I know. Your last article won't write your next one for you.
Yeah. God. But I think it just applies to anything. Like, it's so easy to go, it's easy for me, I should say, to be like, I did that.
I know.
You know, I'm good now. It's like, no, tomorrow's another day.
But that's just like such a metaphor for the gig economy. You know?
What, like your last Uber ride won't drive the next one for you?
Or just a freelance content creator. You know, you're the only thing that matters is your next video. You know, or your
I think
next podcast.
That's a way to look
whatever.
at it. I think I look at it more optimistically. Like, it keeps me trying to go forward instead of going, I'm proud of that thing and I can be done now.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
Yeah. Another one, Colin Chapman's make the suspension adjustable and they'll adjust it wrong. I like that one.
Oh, let's talk about that.
AJ's question we've already talked about in detail. Okay, let's see. An anonymity for the next Patreon level. Matt and Zach should have some office hours for 10 minutes. Zoom calls off air for car, career, auto industry. 1 question per month per person. That would take a lot of time.
Someone responded to them, and they were very accurate. They were like, I think if this scaled up, it would get out of hand way too fast. And then you'd have no time for anything.
And also, like, they're moving the lifts.
Oh.
See, there's a Porsche going down. It's weird, like, renting yourself out like that. Like, I understand, it's not a bad idea, but it's kind of the same thing as, like, it's weird to sell stuff that I would probably give away anyway. Like, people ask for advice and stuff, and I respond like 95% of the time. Whether it's like, can you read my writing and critique it, or I have a question about this. Like, I really do respond to that stuff. It would be weird. And also, we kind of are doing that now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is. But it's like this, but it would make me feel weirder.
And it would be like a live conversation, which would add more time. And
yeah.
It's like an OnlyFans.
Hall Murphy. I currently own a 1990 E30 BMW 320i. The market value of which in my country is about the same as a very clean 2001 Boxster 3.2. What's the better ownership experience, and what is the reliability of the Boxster like? 2001 is a first-gen Boxster. It's not that Boxsters aren't reliable. In general, they are. It's that if something goes wrong, it's really hard to get to you have to drop the engine for shit.
Yeah.
If not drop the engine, you have to like remove the entire convertible top mechanism to get at it from above. It's a real bitch to do some very basic maintenance on a Boxster.
There's no hood to pop.
Yeah. So that's going to add up. That's how you get a lot of extra costs. It's not so much like reliability as it is the cost to repair fairly basic stuff.
Yeah, if you're used to working on your E30, which I'd imagine you are because they're fairly simple, this would be very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about necessarily ownership experience because, you know, front engine, rear drive, good balance, car from the 90s versus mid-engine car. I mean, I imagine if you could drive each one for 20 minutes, you'd probably have a little more fun in the Boxster, all things considered. Not that an E30 is not nice, it is, but like, you know,
Boxster's it would be a really fun change.
Boxster's going to be faster, it's going to be probably sharper steering, convertible's a nice thing to have. You got stuff like, you know, maybe ABS. Does an E30 have ABS? 1990?
I don't know.
But you certainly have stability control if you need it. The two trunk thing is nice. But it's really going to come down to, I would say parts cost is a wash. But it's going to be the time and money to do the labor on the Boxster that's going to suck. That's why Boxsters got so cheap, because they're just a bitch to fucking fix.
It just pushes a lot of people that are at-home mechanics into now you're taking it to a place. Or you're adding several hours and complexity to a repair that any other car would take an hour.
Yeah. Derek Yegan, Bonneville, yay or nay? How fast are you willing to drive until the fear kicks in?
I mean,
depends on the car. But I did 212 miles an hour in a Jetta at Bonneville.
So what? How fast? It definitely depends on the car, but like, do you have a ceiling to how fast you'd be willing to go? If someone's like, "We'll put you in this 300 mile per hour vehicle," would you do that?
At Bonneville?
Yeah.
I could probably do 300 at Bonneville if the car was like stable. Bonneville's a real easy place to go fast. It didn't even feel like I was going fast in that Jetta until I cracked about 180. I mean, it was like a fucking day at the office until 180, and then it was only really after like 200 did it start to even move around like a little bit.
I wonder what the speed is. I agree with you, because like, I mean, yay, 100% yay to Bonneville. But I wonder where the line is where the car starts changing from something that feels production to now it's starting to feel like a proper purpose-built, you know, like if you got an...
Pull in the chute.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I think at 300 you're going to shoot anyway, but like if you take a Camaro SS, you could build it to go 200 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then now we're talking 250, 280. Do they have to start stretching the wheelbase? Do they have to start, you know, doing really crazy aero? Does it? I'm just wondering when the car changes into something that is like, now this is just a Bonneville car instead of this is a fast car.
Yeah, I mean that Jetta, they didn't have to change like that much. I mean it obviously made more power, made like 700 horsepower, and it had a cage and it had aerodynamic wheels and one of those weird kind of flat wings, you know, where it's like the wing really just extends the tail as opposed to making downforce like that stream. But it was clearly a Jetta. And I mean, what's the stock top speed of a Jetta? 130?
Probably, but it's also probably pretty slippery, you know, for that.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
gallon.
It was okay. But this, I think someone did 214 in it. I was not the fastest person. Someone did 214. But like, yeah, you probably would have to start over like 220. I mean, well, you got Lambos, you know, Huracans at these runway events can get up to 240, 250.
Right.
A 4GT
that guy ran
last gen, he ran 280 something on stock aero. So it's possible in the right car. 4GTs are very stable. Yeah. What do you got?
I was curious if a 4GT had a record at
Bonneville.
At Bonneville, no.
I think it's runway.
Runway went 293.6.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
I mean, salt versus tarmac. I think there's more rolling resistance on the salt.
There's more rolling resistance, and it's also just like a different. You can't put down power,
right? You
know, you have to be in the first not to go back to the Jetta, but this is the only real experience I have. I couldn't even go full throttle until fifth gear.
Jeez.
Yeah,
so
like
I
was getting
2,000 horsepower 4GT.
Yeah, I mean, it would take you a while to get up to that speed. You know, the power is only, it's not useful until you probably start rolling into it at 200. You know,
that's crazy. 3 years ago, a 4GT did 300 in the standing mile.
That's bad shit.
Wow,
that's bad shit. That's fucking going. Is that the white one?
I think it was blue. Amazing aero, though. That's incredible.
Yeah, 4GTs are so good. Nate Lincoln says, I'm planning on flying to LA with a couple friends, blah, blah, blah. Wanted to rent a fun enthusiast car. Is Turo the best option? Are there other local companies? Enterprise has like an exotics collection.
Yep.
Where I think you can get Corvettes and 911s, stuff like that. In LA specifically, there's a bunch of places to rent
various sports cars, Ferraris, BMWs, like Mercedes, whatever.
Midway has stuff. I mean, everything from a Mustang GT to a Boxster to a 911 to a Ferrari, you know, F8. I mean, you can get anything.
Yeah. It really depends on your budget and your interest. I think Turo tends to be a little cheaper for the equivalent car from a large company, but large company comes with, I think, a simpler insurance situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel comfortable renting a 911 or a Boxster from the Enterprise Exotics collection, totally. Like, because it's not like, you know, those cars are tough. It's not like they're gonna be fucked. You know? Andrew Stone, what have I done to the Monkey? I haven't done anything. I bought it with some modifications on it. It has the JDM headlights and taillights. It has the flat luggage rack on the back with the cargo net. It has a Yoshimura exhaust and a Yoshimura intake, and I think that's it. I don't I don't know what it has. I have a set of rear shocks on the way that I ordered in June, but it was like they're coming from Taiwan or something, and it was said they're going to be here like the end of August.
Yeah.
So I don't, they're shipping it slow. But that's it. I haven't done anything else. It has aftermarket brake and clutch levers. I don't know what you're supposed to do with them. They're like adjustable, like they have like adjustments on them.
Oh, okay. I think you can adjust the reach on them depending on your finger length.
Yeah, well, I'm not touching it. I don't know. I might take it to someone who knows how to adjust it, but like I don't fucking know.
I mean, does it feel good right now?
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, just keep it.
But the last guy did that shit. I don't know. Eventually, if I get bored and have an excess of money, which is not right now because I have a Ferrari to fix, maybe we'll do the stroker kit to get an extra 10 miles an hour on the top end. But for now, I'll just leave the fucking thing alone. Okay, Clayton Stinger GTS. One of the big selling points of EVs is fewer parts and, in theory, lower maintenance cost. Seeing as most dealers make the bulk of their money via service departments, do you think OEMs are shooting themselves in the foot? What is the business plan to compete with fewer cars going through the service department? Well, based on my experience owning an EV, it's been in the service department a bunch of times. So I think that it is not yet proven that it is lower service costs. Different service costs, maybe. I think the dealers will need to adapt with like more computers, a better internet connection to download software updates and shit like that. But like, there's other stuff. Like, my fucking power windows were fucking up. It's the same module as an internal combustion car, and that's had to be replaced like twice. So like, there's stuff in EVs that is the same as stuff in a gas car.
It'll just be interesting. I think we have yet to see how reliable the power plants are, so that'll be the real thing. Like,
yeah.
Because I think an ICE car and your car might have the same window problem. Let's just say they have the same window regulator issue because the parts sharing. But the Ford Fusion or Escape, whatever the fuck you drove, like the automatic transmission sucked, and maybe that's going to go out in 12,000 miles. But your car, the Mach-E doesn't have that thing.
I mean, so Tesla's replaced a lot of motors. I mean, they've replaced a bunch of motors. There's a Tesla service center right up the road from here. Always plenty of cars going in there. A
lot of front end collisions.
Dude, there's a bunch. They're on flatbeds. They're coming in on AAA, and like, it's busy. Like, that's a busy service department, and like, maybe there'll be, I don't know, maybe they'll consolidate. Maybe some dealers won't make it. Maybe, I mean, it's going to be a while before gas cars are seriously outlawed. And even then, the dealers will still support the cars on the road. We're talking about 30, 40, 50 years from today.
I think there will be a trend change, but it will take a long time before there's that article of like, here's how service has changed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while before they see fewer cars coming through the service department. And if the Tesla service department that's right up the road from here is an indicator, there will still be plenty of things to service, and fix. I think the independent shops maybe hurt more. I mean, people might feel much more comfortable bringing an EV to a dealer, whereas they would feel just perfectly comfortable bringing a gasoline car to an independent shop.
Yeah, it'll also depend on, like, do the dealerships require special computers for the EVs? Will independent shops be able to get them? What's the cost going to be?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I think independent shops are going to be hurt before dealers.
I mean, if there's a reduction in like maintenance frequency by like even just 30% for an EV compared to a gas car, like that will have ripple effects on across like the entire mom and pop shop repair industry.
Bud215 says, Zach, how does the BMW M230i compare to your E46?
It feels lighter and softer sprung, and the steering rack is a lot quicker. But I think there's so much it's hard to compare cars like that because the modern cars have taken lessons from their predecessors. So like every time a new model comes out, the OEM will say it's 20% stiffer than the last one. The unibody is stiffer. Now it has a solid subframe. Now the rear end is mounted, solidly mounted, and the bushings are all spherical. Like they take a lot of stuff from motorsport. So over 20 years, it's not surprising that that car feels like a more agile machine. It just feels much softer sprung.
Yeah. Alex Hay says the M5 CS seats sounded terrible. Do you think anyone might build adjustable damping seats like magnetic shocks, like semi-trucks?
Yeah, like the air
semi-trucks
stuff.
have the hydraulic seats.
Yeah.
I don't. I think that would add a disconnection to the car. You know, you wouldn't want your seat moving around independently from the car, especially in something like an M5 CS
Hell
that
no.
is designed to make you feel connected to the
Maybe
car.
in a Rolls Royce, maybe something like that, where they can increase the glide feeling.
Yeah,
and they
I
can
think it would be
isolate you
weird. It
more.
might make people like motion sick too.
True.
You know.
Yeah.
It'd be strange. I don't really see that happening.
I feel like there's a reason it hasn't been done in like a luxury vehicle.
I think it happened. I think they do it in semi trucks because
Well, the suspension on those has to be so stiff, for
heavy
the weight.
duty for the weight.
Right.
Right.
And so it would be brutal.
And you're also in a semi truck. You're doing straight line highways, very long, periods of time, and isolating the driver is, important. A sports, no one wants to be isolated in a sporty sedan. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Michael Cosgrove has enjoyed the experience of me unshitboxing the 328. What car would Zach pick from the 80s with a similar budget?
I would go Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah.
I would go Pantera.
Yeah, Panteras are awesome.
Audi V8, but gorgeous, kind of Italian shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are good. 70s, although they touched the 80s as well,
did.
early 80s, yeah. Christian wants to see Moto Man back on the show. We'll have to talk to him. He is down in Long Beach, I think. Ryan wants to know if old guests like Dan, Neal, and Bam are coming back on the show. Bam lives in Virginia and has an open invite if he's ever in town. Dan lives in North Carolina and has an open invite if he's ever in town. Zach Trump, do we plan to drive the Tundra TRD Pro outside of the Toyota press launch?
Probably not.
No, the video didn't do very well.
Video doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
Our audience is not that into truck stuff.
Yeah. Even the Lightning video didn't do that well.
Yeah.
I mean, it only
and that
did
was like one of the most anticipated vehicles, I
Yeah.
would say, of the last 5 years.
Yeah. One thing that we learned in our recent studying of the numbers is that if when we're driving new vehicles, embargo racing does actually work. The videos that we've released on an embargo date perform significantly better than vehicles that are enthusiast vehicles that we drive a month or two later. I mean, it sucks, but like if we do a video of a car and it releases on an embargo date and it still doesn't do well, it's certainly not worth doing again. And unfortunately for us, which is really a pain in the ass with scheduling, going on launches and stuff and doing embargo racing is financially wise. Frustrating, but wise. Wait, what? Myron, our pal Myron, says Motor Trend and Infinity are doing a Japanese automotive invitational at Pebble Beach this year. Same location on the Pebble grounds at the entrance to the concourse show field. It will run Thursday through Sunday. Japanese car enthusiasts should attend, and Myron will be there with his Autech Zagato. No charge for spectators. Yeah, Infinity's got a big tent that's like, as you're driving into Pebble Beach, it's like you literally can't miss it. You have to drive by it. All right. Thanks, Myron. Go check that out. Jordan Y, thoughts on Restomodding to improve drivability and reliability to save costs on an old car? Well, Restomodding will rarely save you costs because it's often very expensive. Thinking of your as close to OEM possible 328 versus the Mighty Car Mods RX-7 with aftermarket EFI. Well, it depends what you want out of the car. I mean, do you want a car that looks old, but where the factory performance was not good? Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing about a Ferrari 328 is like they were really good when they were new. And the problem with most of them today is that they've been rotting. So the rubber's dry, the engines are tired, the brakes you're worn. But like if you put them back to like they're supposed to be, they drive awesome. These were very high performance cars in the 80s. I mean, the 328 was a 160 mile an hour car.
Whew.
You know, but if you've got an old RX-7 that's like not a turbo, I don't know about the Mighty Car Mods RX-7. I haven't seen it, but like if it's an older RX-7, like it's not that fast. Like brakes won't be that good. Like suspension won't be that good. So there's a big enthusiast market around upgrading those things. Like, I mean, I don't even know who makes a quote upgrade for a Ferrari 328. I mean, unless you did some crazy custom thing. Like,
I also think his note about, you know, you don't want to radically change the character of the car. I think you have to determine what is your definition of the car's character. Because like if someone takes a 67 Chevelle and they spend 200 grand making it, you know, with Detroit Speed or whoever, making it handle and go really well, that car doesn't drive anything like it did when it was stock.
Yeah.
So has the car's character changed, or does it give you the feeling of, well, I'm still driving a muscle car, but now it turns and stops?
Yeah. So
that's a really subjective thing.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Mustang that I did Restomodding on. I think there's all kinds of ways you can improve an old car, and old cars like look really cool, but in a lot of ways they don't drive so great. And so I always say upgrade brakes. Mm-hmm. You can upgrade wheels and tires. You can upgrade suspension to coilover stuff, and you don't ruin the character of the car doing that. But saving costs, you will not save costs.
Definitely not. I think it's nice though, because if you drive like modern sports cars and then you drive your 67 Camaro, you're gonna be like, God, this thing drives and turns like shit.
Yeah.
So if you can bring it a little closer and still have some fun and still get the fizz out of it, then that's great. It won't feel as antiquated.
Last couple. Someone answered him, but Derek wants to know tips for getting more involved in the automotive community in New York City. Classic Car Club is the obvious one. I mean, there's track days. You know, you've got Pocono, you've got Lime Rock, you've got Monticello, you've got New Jersey Motorsports Park. There's Cars and Coffees up at Bear Mountain and Danbury, Connecticut. There's a Cars and Coffee in Edgewater, New Jersey, I think. There's drag strips like Englishtown and Island Dragway. I mean, there's a bunch. I mean, I'm sure there's local sections of all the forums. There's a Cars and Coffee at Long Island at the end of Ocean Parkway. I mean, there's car shit going on out there.
And if you go to those, you'll meet people that are doing other car shit that's not like announced in an invitation or whatever, and then you can go hang out with those folks.
Yeah. Last question, Jordan Y. Do any current electric cars match the fun to drive factor of the best gas sports cars?
No.
Not for me. I'm driving the Rimac Nevera in a bit, which is like 1,900 horsepower or something.
Yeah.
See if that does, maybe. I mean, a Taycan Turbo S is incredibly fun. I don't think it's as fun as the best gas sports cars, but it does feel like it steers and stops and goes like a Porsche should. So there's that.
It's very fun, but you know, as soon as I read the best gas sports cars, it's like, well, you're done.
No, I mean, the best gas sports cars, no, certainly not. Right. So that's our show today. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Gordon Murray.
Yeah.
Legendary Professor Gordon Murray, designer of the McLaren F1 and a bunch of other legendary race cars and interesting automotive projects. He's got the T50 and the T33. Aren't those the two? The T50 is the...
So. T50 for sure.
And I think the 33 is the one that's slightly more affordable.
Correct.
And has 2 seats instead of 3.
Yeah.
Super excited to talk to him. And then Emilia will be on the show on Friday. And then we've got more podcasts next week. We gotta really get them in before I go to Pebble Beach, and because I'm out of town the last 2 weeks or last 10 days of August. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific for Professor Gordon Murray. Thanks, guys. Bye.